We are celebrating 29 years of Jamaica AIDS Support for Life. A group of friends responded to an individual who was HIV positive. And they responded because the rights of that person, they were not being affirmed. This individual was not able to access health care, and in instances where they went, they were significantly discriminated against, and the friends were the ones who stood in the gap. And that is Jamaica AIDS Support for Life. It is because of access to services, access to justice, why an organization like ours exists today. Access to justice is extremely important because if laws aren't implemented, people will never realize their rights. If justice isn't accessible, there will be injustice. And injustice for one is injustice for all. JASL continues to work to ensure that when we speak of justice for all, we indeed mean all. No one or group should be excluded or be left behind. Through engagements like these, we will continue to highlight the challenges being faced by persons living with HIV and other key populations to access justice. Through our continued engagement of policymakers, the justice sector, actors, and law enforcement officials, we will continue to be that voice. We will continue to fight to alleviate the challenges of access to justice for Jamaica's most vulnerable.
At some point led the scientific community at the time in 1982, when referring to what we know today as HIV, to use the very harmful, inaccurate, and discriminatory acronym GRID, meaning gay-related immunodeficiency. After almost 40 years of HIV epidemic and response, 75 million HIV infections, and 32 million AIDS-related deaths around the world since the beginning of the epidemic, HIV is perhaps one of the most studied viruses in our history. Science and technology have come a long way, providing us with the necessary knowledge and tools to prevent new infections and deaths, only falling short of a cure or a vaccine. But we know how to prevent it, we know how to treat it, and we know how to care for those who live with it. But we have a long way to go. In a few days, we will mark World AIDS Day under the theme Global Solidarity, Shared Responsibility. And it is perhaps a reminder that we are all affected by HIV directly or indirectly, and we all have a role to play. Just imagine the day when we will be able to say that AIDS is over in Jamaica. We are confident that this is feasible, and most of all, we know what needs to be done, and we have the tools to do it. But we need more will, more boldness, and more determination, and all of these depend solely on all of us. One of the most important steps to get there, of course, is precisely highlighting the reality with robust evidence that we can use to guide our efforts moving forward. So I commend all the partners who join efforts to make this report a reality, as I am sure that your commitment to expanding our knowledge and understanding about access to justice through your findings will allow us to have a rich, constructive, and very productive discussion today. UNAIDS remains committed to keep providing its support to the government, civil society organizations, bilateral partners, but first and foremost to the people of Jamaica as we keep traveling this long but inspiring journey of ending AIDS. We will get there together.
From a personal perspective, I speak to you today not just as a EU representative, as I said, but also a parent. And this affects me personally, as I know that certain children are very emotionally distressed about the fact that they don't dare to talk to their parents and tell them who they really are. I really hope that this is about to change, and this is the last few words that I want to send you. But I feel particularly privileged to be here today. I have, throughout the years, participated in Montego Bay Pride March on 2 occasions. I met and discussed many from the LGBT community. I know how sometimes tough it is. And I can tell you that European Union, we will do our share to at least help you alleviate the burden.
Justice for us is a thick concept. What does that mean, thick concept? Justice is not courts, it's not just laws, it's not just redress processes, but it's a concept that is purposive, procedural, and experiential. So let's break those 3 terms down. Purposive. So justice achieves something. And that something changes depending on the circumstances. It's not a courthouse or a lawsuit, it's to achieve something. That something is oftentimes restorative, for some people it's retributive, for some persons it is reparatory. But without a purpose, justice is not actually justice, it's just some process that has unfolded. Justice is also procedural. There are things that you have to go through to achieve justice, and that's oftentimes how we limit a definition of justice to the procedures, this person versus that person, this judgment. But it's also experiential, in that someone can go through a process and not feel that they have gotten justice because of their experience of that system. And when we think about access to justice, we mean access to all these components of justice, not just access to some successful outcome between 2 lawyers competing for a prize in a courtroom. And when we think about justice that way, our responsibility to those seeking justice changes in quite fundamental ways, because we have to recognize that the experience of the person seeking justice is paramount, and the ways that we go about providing that justice have to accord with that.